Which college or which university?
No, it's not. There's no need even to have a college degree.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At all, or even high school. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college.
Dropouts, yeah.
But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
So, just looking just for evidence of exceptional ability, and if there's a track record of exceptional achievement, then it's likely that that will continue into the future.
Mm-hmm.
How I describe myself? Well, I seem to have a high innate drive, and that's been true even since I was a little kid. I really had a very strong drive. Did all sorts of risky things when I was a kid that why did I do those things? They're crazy. I care a lot about the truth of things and trying to understand the truth of things. I think that's important. If you're going to come up with some solution, then the truth is really, really important, I think. I try to think of. It's difficult to obviously come up with things that are praise for oneself, or there's bad and good here, but I think sometimes they're just the things that seem quite clear and obvious to me, and I don't understand why they aren't so obvious to everyone. Sure.
So how would you educate your 5 boys?
Actually, I created a little school. Yeah.
What kind of school? Could you describe to us?
Sure. It's small. It's only got 14 kids now, and it'll have 20 kids in September. It's called Ad Astra, which means to the stars. That's maybe a bit different from most other schools, is that there aren't any grades. There's no not grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 type of thing. Making all the children go in the same grade at the same time, like an assembly line.
I know.
Because some people love English or languages, some people love math, some people love music, and they have different abilities at different times. It makes more sense to cater the education to match their aptitudes and abilities. So I think that's one principle. Another is that it's important to teach problem solving, or teach to the problem, not to the tools. So this would be like, let's say you're trying to teach people about how engines work, or you could start by a more traditional approach would be to say, well, we're going to teach you all about screwdrivers and wrenches, and you're going to have a course on screwdrivers, a course on wrenches, and all these things. And this is a very difficult way to do it. A much better way would be like, here's the engine. Now let's take it apart. How are we going to take it apart? You need a screwdriver. That's what the screwdriver is for. You need a wrench. That's what the wrench is for. And then a very important thing happens, which is that the relevance of the tools becomes apparent.
So all your 5 boys are in that school?
Yes.
Until when? This is from preschool?
I don't know. So far it's only 1-year-old. But they like it.
They like it?
Yeah.
And you want to keep them away from regular schools?
No, I just didn't see that the regular schools, they weren't doing the things that I thought should be done. Like, those 2 principles, they weren't adhering to those principles. So I thought, well, let's see what we can do. Maybe creating a school will be better. And I actually hired a teacher from the school they were at, who also agreed with me that there was a better way to do it.
Have they surprised you in a way of their innovative thinking?
Yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. The kids really love going to school. I think that's a good sign. I hated going to school when I was a kid. It was torture. So the fact that they actually think vacations are too long, like they want to go back to school.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird.
I know.
Age or people like that, what is it you have in common with them?
Well, those are pretty different personalities, between Gates and Jobs and Ellison.
Business and success?
I think all 3 of those were technologists, but with different types of skills. Jobs was obviously very good with aesthetics, and he understood technology, of course, and he really understood what people wanted even when they didn't know themselves. And he was not afraid to break boundaries. But say, like Gates would probably be better at sort of raw engineering and technology than Jobs, but not as good on aesthetics. But I mean, for all of these guys, they're obviously very driven, and they're very talented, and they're able to attract great people to build a company. But I mean, the ability to attract and motivate great people is critical to the success of a company, because a company is it's a group of people that are assembled to create a product or service. That's the purpose of a company. People sometimes forget this elementary truth, and so if you're able to get great people to join the company and work together towards a common goal, and you sort of have a relentless sense of perfection about that goal, then you will end up with a great product. And if you have a great product, lots of people will buy it, and then the company will be successful.
Yeah.
But really, it's pretty straightforward, really. I mean, yeah, that's the reason for it. I wouldn't say I'm fearless. In fact, I think I feel fear quite strongly. But if what we're doing is what I'm doing is I think is important enough, then I just override the fear.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not as though I feel it like more strongly than I would like.
And in which areas would you never go full risk if you still are fearful?
Well, it really depends on the stakes. If the stakes are high, if it's really important, then I will overcome the fear and just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, I mean, I just drive overrides fear, but I feel the fear. It's kind of annoying. I wish I didn't.
Okay.
I wish I felt it less.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. All these introspective questions are interesting. I don't get asked these very often. And then, like, I'm trying to think, like, what is like an accurate reply? And some of these, it's hard to evaluate yourself on these things.
Mm-hmm.
Which company you founded was the most risky at the start?
Well, probably SpaceX. I thought it had the lowest chance of success. I mean, I thought both Tesla and SpaceX would fail at the beginning.
You thought?
Yeah,
so?
sure.
Really?
Of course.
But nevertheless, you put all your money in that, in both.
I expected to lose it. Well, technically, what I thought was, well, I'll take half the money from PayPal, and if I lose half of it, that's okay. But then, of course, the companies encounter difficulties, and then I have a choice of either let the company die or put, all the money into the companies. And so I really didn't want the companies to die, so I put all the money in the companies.
Yeah.
And then I had to borrow money from friends to pay living expenses.
Yes. What was your best idea ever?
My best idea ever?
Yeah.
This is tricky. I suppose coming to North America was my best idea.
Okay.
Because I think these things would not have been accomplished, almost anywhere else. It's really hard to start a company, but in particularly California, Silicon Valley is very conducive to startup companies, and whenever I'd read books in South Africa, it would seem like the cutting edge of technology was in Silicon Valley, and so that's when I wanted to come and I wanted to move to this mythical place.
Okay.
And are there things you regret having done or for not having done so far?
Well, there's lots of things that when life is short, and there's lots of things that could be done that one can't necessarily do. And these really are introspective questions. I think, I mean, overall, I think I'm pretty happy with what you know where things are. It's hard not to be, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be, yeah. Yeah, things are in a good place right now, and I mean, I'd like to, looking ahead, I'd like to see humanity go beyond Earth and have people on Mars. That would be really great. And to see widespread adoption of electric vehicles and renewable energy. These are great things. And yeah, I think those would be really, really cool.